Hello, you're welcome. My name is James Martin, and I'm your fellow chorister. I know you came because Sister Philomena invited you to come and see how I'm always attacking her, but I'm not attacking today. Although I am building myself a reputation of attacking musical mediocrity and the common misconceptions in music, and that is what I usually do in these videos. But today, we're addressing the age-long question: should you learn a musical instrument as a singer? So we dissect it today. And my simple answer for this is not necessarily. That's my simple answer. You don't necessarily need to be an instrumentalist or know how to play an instrument before you can become the great singer that you're working on yourself to be. And I say that for a couple of reasons that we're going to itemize. I know that a lot of you will not agree with this thing that I just said. Put your opinions in the comment section and we can argue there.
This man!
But as far as the video is concerned, well, you're not here, so you cannot argue while I'm talking.
Oh, Mumu, not too much.
So the first thing that we should consider is this: are there great singers who are not instrumentalists? Well, see for yourself. On the other hand, are there great singers who can play one or more instruments? Of course, see for yourself. And these things are not binary. It is not either this or that, because there are great singers who can play a little of an instrument or a couple of instruments. They just have a good idea. Some people don't even have a good idea, they just know a thing or two. There are also great instrumentalists who have an idea of the vocals. Then there are loads of categories in between. So on one extreme, great singers who don't play instruments at all. They don't know jack about any instrument. On the other hand, great singers who are great instrumentalists. Then everything in between. Where should you fall? Which is recommended? Learning an instrument does not directly translate into better vocals. Otherwise, every instrumentalist would also be a great vocalist. But are there instrumentalists who do not sing? Of course, see for yourself. So, if the knowledge of an instrument is in and of itself sufficient to improve the vocals of an individual, why are there instrumentalists who cannot sing?
But what does that have to do with anything?
No.
So that is my first argument in this case.
No. He's got a point.
Secondly, the techniques required for applying knowledge into an instrument is different from the techniques required for applying the same knowledge into your vocals. And this is because the voice is an instrument.
Since when?
In the context of instrumentalists playing an instrument that we're discussing here, the vocal is excluded. So when we're talking about instrumentalists, we're not talking about vocals. But the voice is an instrument. Do your research, you find a lot of conversation around it. But the voice as an instrument is delicate in the sense that it's made up of living components. Your actuators, your resonators, your everything comprises of living components, diaphragm, voice box, and all those things. Compare that organic instrument with a conventional acoustic instrument, let's say a grand piano. If a grand piano goes out of tune, you invite somebody to come and tune it. And provided the piano is in tune, if you hit the key on the piano that is supposed to produce A4, it will always produce A4. Always. It does not matter if it's a child hitting it or a seasoned professional hitting it. Provided you hit the note of A4, the sound of A4 will come out if the piano is in tune. But to produce an A4 from your vocals, it has to be within your range to produce. You need to have the appropriate posture and air support. And let me even go back to the piano. Let's say an electronic grand or a synthesizer that has a volume knob. If you hit the key and you push up the volume, amplify the volume, you get more sound. But for the vocals, you need to push the air in a different way to increase the volume. The vocal folds need to make bigger vibrations for you to have more volume. So you see, the intricacies of the vocals and an instrument, a conventional instrument, are not exactly the same. So they don't necessarily translate into each other. They are not intertwined. Now, why I said it's not necessary for you to learn an instrument is because learning an instrument have advantages that they will present to your singing. That is to say, you get more exposed to certain things. I'll use myself for example in this case. My knowledge of the church modes, the modes of the major scale, did not come while I was researching vocals. It came while I was researching for the piano. So while I was trying to improve on my knowledge on the major scale, I came across modes of the major scale. And from there, a lot of doors opened. There are modes of the melodic minor, modes of the harmonic minor. There are a lot of parent scales that have their modes and chords that go with those modes. It opened my mind to a lot of possibilities that I may not necessarily have come across if I were researching exclusively for vocals. You may come across them researching for vocals. Watching this video right now might be part of your vocal research, and I just mentioned them. So you see, you did not necessarily have to learn an instrument to come across this information. But for me, that's how I came across the information. And understanding it, I've been able to apply it to vocals and to the instrument, and I've been able to teach it. So this is an example of some of the possibilities that learning an instrument will bring into your disposal as a singer. But it is not a ground rule the way some people will make you believe. Of course, like everything else in the world, learning an instrument has advantages. But the important thing is your knowledge of the theory of music and how you choose to apply them. The modes of the major scale, they are music theory grounded. So if you do your study on music theory, you will come across the modes of the major scale and other modes. The challenge is a lot of vocalists tend to limit their study. Do you need to know music theory to be a good vocalist? Not necessarily, but you apply a lot of music theory. So it's going to benefit you a lot to know music theory. So your knowledge of music theory and how you choose to apply them is the difference. Somebody applies it to the bass guitar and it works excellently. Another person applies it to the piano and it works excellently. Another person applies it to vocals and it works excellently. Yet another person applies it across different instruments, including the vocal, and it works excellently. Now, for vocal arrangement, if you are exclusively a vocalist and you have to create certain harmony parts, it will benefit you to know chord progressions and it will benefit you to know upper extensions. That's how your tight harmony will get richer. These things are easier taught to instrumentalists, especially instrumentalists who play chorded instruments. Instruments that can produce multiple notes at the same time. So if you should learn an instrument like that, you will find lots of avenues to apply certain theory concepts that you may not necessarily find for your vocals, because vocals is a solo instrument. To produce harmony, you need other people. The same challenge is true for a saxophonist, because saxophone is a solo instrument. So if you were to learn an instrument like the piano or a guitar, where you can produce multiple notes at the same time, and you apply this theory there, you can translate it to vocals. But I am emphasizing that it is not necessarily true that you must know an instrument. No. That is my take on this argument. It is an age-long argument. You can take any stance on it. These are some of my reasons why I think it is not necessary. But if you can find the time to learn an instrument, absolutely learn one. Not because it's going to make you a better vocalist, but because it's going to make you a better overall musician. Communicating with your band becomes easier if you can think like the members of your band. Composing for vocals, organizing, reharmonizing becomes easier if you have a good knowledge of how chords work, how chord progressions work, how modulations work, and those intricate details. It becomes easier, so you become a more comprehensive instrumentalist. For me, I serve as a music director, and on the spot I get certain ideas for harmonization, certain adjustments. I know how to figure out certain chords and certain vocal parts by just listening to the melody. These things I gained because I have exposure in the vocals and in the instrumental. So that is how it works. It made me a better musician, not necessarily a better singer or a better instrumentalist. Also, if you are a comprehensive package, you have good enough knowledge of how these things work applied to different instruments. You don't necessarily need to have great vocals to do great things. Now, great vocals in quotes, some people, they listen for fine voice and sweet voice and what have you. There are lots of people who have sweet voice but don't know what to do with their voice. And there are some people whose voice are not as sweet, but they do a lot of things with their voice that people marvel at. So that is my recommendation. Learn it if you can. Learn an instrument if you can. If you have the passion for it and you have the time for it. But don't learn an instrument on the basis that it will make you a better singer. It has the potential to help you improve your singing, but you will make yourself a better singer by the decisions you take, the habits you build, not necessarily because you learned an instrument. That is my take on it. I know that you do not agree with a lot of the things I said. If you agreed with me, please let me know. If you do not agree, it's also fine. We have our views on it, but I would love for you to educate me. You might change my perspective on this. You might be my bridge to new set of information that I did not have. But at least, let me know what you think about it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it for you. It was fun.
You're the man!
And if you like the video, please notify the algorithm that you do like the video. There's a like button somewhere. You can click on it. And you can always come back for more.